Welcome to the February 11th meeting of the Edison Library Board. Let the minutes reflect that we started at 7:04. And please, let's do the, let me say adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975 has been provided by an annual notice sent to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, the Sentinel, and News India Times on January 6, 2020, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal complex on the same date. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right, the first agenda item is the approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from December 10th and January 14th?
The only thing that I would say is that the trustee account report is not for approval. It's just gone over, and if any questions are there, that's the only thing.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of December 10th, 2019?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? All right, so the minutes has passed with one abstention. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes for January 14th, 2020?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, then those minutes have passed. The bill listing for January 2020.
Sorry. Oh, there we go.
Regarding this trustee account, I saw we have an email sent by the councilman, right? You sent an email to us, right? It's regarding the where to put the deposit of this account.
Actually, she's looking for approval for the minutes. I mean, the bill listing first. We didn't do the trustee account.
Where is it?
I'm sorry, it was out of order. The bill listing is a few reports back.
It's after the director's report. We apologize.
Here's the list.
I think we're talking about the trustee account report, right?
Which one did they look at?
We're doing the bill, we're
Bill
doing
listing.
the trustee account report.
Oh, we are, sorry.
That's, yeah,
You said bill
it's
listing.
not
Okay.
the same matter.
Okay.
I know you cool.
Just a quick question, sorry. It says on the agenda, trustee account report December. We need December and January, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay, just making sure.
Right, we did not have it. It was not available in December.
Okay.
So do we have a report for January?
Yes, it's here.
Yes, it's here.
Okay,
We have a report for December and January as well.
okay.
Okay.
Any comments?
Regarding this one, the trustee account report, the deposits for the Bookmobile check, is that the right amount?
That deposit, if you're referring to the $467,957.31, that's a deposit for previous year reserved account for 2017. That deposit there has nothing to do with the Bookmobile. That was money from 2017.
So that's not Bookmobile account or what?
Well, you need to take off the, on the line item next to deposits and other credits, Bookmobile check deposit, because you have the same thing on the one for December.
Okay.
So you just need to remove that.
Yes, will do.
Any other comments? All
So
right,
is that a different account or how many accounts do we have right now?
We have 2 accounts,
Yeah.
which is the account ending in 6055 and the account ending in 7647.
Do we have the report for the other account?
It's on the same page, David. See just
Okay.
on the bottom, see on the top, and then on the second one?
you see that?
76. So,
See the number is-
no, yeah, I do see this one. So that, what I'm trying to figure out is where do we transfer this 467,000 from to this account?
That money came from the municipal government, Edison Township, as monies that was left over. When we have reserves left over in previous years, they usually cut a check for us, and we deposit it into the account ending in 6055.
Did you check that like for previous year? Do we have the same kind of deposit in January?
Yes,
Yes.
we do. Yes.
So the way that it works is the library board gets 1/3 of a mill based off of X amount of the taxation amount, the assessed value in Edison Township. So based off that formula, every quarter we disperse a certain amount of funds. Towards the end of the year last year, we had an additional 300,000, I think it was, that came in. Right now, it was just about mid-threes. So this time, because the assessed value of our whole tax base has gone up, the leftover amount was 467,000. And this happens every year.
Right.
Thank you.
Does that mean that now we have the surplus for the library, right?
Correct. We've maintained a surplus for the library. Those funds were never used, but you still get them. What's supposed to happen, however, is when there are excess funds from the library board, the trustees are supposed to either send a formal notice to the council letting them know what they plan to do with the funds. I advise the trustees to do that because otherwise they can go back to the council.
Thank you.
Like last year, the tax assessment part for the library is increased, right? That's,
In this current year, you do see a increase in terms of monies coming into the library account. Last year, it was a little over $5 million. Now we at $6,357,900 some odd dollars. That's based on the tax per capita across the board, taxes in general, and so that gave us a rise. We may see a rise for the next year or two upcoming, but then there may be a downfall, so it's not going to be consistent. It's based on taxes, calculations, and so on and so forth, stuff like that at this point. So we did see a rise this year from the $5 million to the 6.3 some odd dollars.
yeah, what I'm trying to figure out is that it's probably not related to the library. Like, I mean, it's trying to explain that on the one hand, we have the surplus for the library budget. On the other hand, there is a property tax increase for the library portion.
Yes.
So that's the thing we're trying to figure out, like, I mean, if the residents is trying to ask why we're having this way, I mean, we probably needed to.
David, this isn't
answer.
anything new, though. This isn't anything new. Library funding is received according to
The state law.
the
State law.
So-
A third of a mil, which is based on a third of a
Let me
mil.
just clarify, so not just for you, but anyone else that wants to know. The way that the formula works, based off of the state, the specific type of government we have, the Faulkner Act, which also has a library board of trustees, and given the fact that we also have a member from the school board, our specific form of government says that whatever, in order to have a library board of trustees, our formula is 1/3 per mil based off of the taxation of the town. So when our value, and when our assessed value in the town goes up, by law, the amount that is allocated to the trustees, to the library board, is proportionate. That amount has always been, the mayor and the council, we've always given the bare minimum, which is the 1/3 of a mil, but that still amounts to that surplus. So when, and to the director's point, when there's an economic downturn, the assessed value will go down because there may be tax appeals, so that amount will be less that the board gets. So it's never a consistent amount. It's always based off of the taxation of the township. And that formula, we've always given the bare minimum. And it's still more than enough.
I'm sorry, that's actually not true. In years past, I believe, I'm trying to remember which mayor, but possibly with Mayor Choi and the mayor before that, we did actually receive above and beyond our 1/3 of a mil.
Okay.
It's only in the past several years where we're only receiving the 1/3 of a mil without any extras.
I'll correct
Just
myself.
making sure,
Yeah,
historically, we actually.
historically speaking, I was referring to the past several years. What happened perhaps when Mayor Choi was here, I'm not sure.
I mean, one of the point, a lot of the residents was raising that the property tax increase over the previous year was, I think it's probably about 4%, which is a, pretty big increase, and,
David, I don't think we
The
can
tax-
address tax.
The tax makes no, the tax can be 10%, but this amount won't change because it's based off of the value. So
The housing market.
there could
value.
literally be 100% tax increase, but this dollar amount will not change.
but the tax rate on that one.
No, it makes no difference.
Of
It's
course,
based off of the assessed value. So even if there was a tax decrease of 15%, or there was a tax increase of 100%, this number won't numerically change. It's based off of the value itself.
So what's the, I mean, what I know is that there is a 4% increase. You can say that's tax assessment, but my understanding is that it's the percentage increase. I mean, not just the tax assessment.
I see what he's saying.
Yeah, that has absolutely nothing to do with this number. This is based off the state formula number.
Which is dealing with, what consists of a third of a mil, based on taxes.
What we are talking about is this percentage. I mean, of course, say for example, a township collects like $100. The formula is like maybe a third for the library. That part I understand what you are
Yes, sir.
saying is fixed. But what I'm trying to understand is that the increase of the total tax by the township. So that part, is related to the library.
No, it's not.
No,
No, not at all.
No, no, no.
It
Has
is not.
absolutely nothing to do with it.
no.
I mean,
That's
library is a part of the township, right?
No, look, I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
You're trying to say that if taxes go up, then this number is higher, but it's not. It's based off of the assessed value, which is two completely different things.
Yeah.
Like I said, if there was a 20% decrease in municipal taxes or a 100% increase, this number will not change.
All right, we can discuss
Yeah.
this.
Okay, anyway.
I can explain this to you
We'll find
later.
out the details, yeah.
But let's move on to the approval of the bill listings from January.
Trustee report, account report, or the bill listing? What happened going through
The
the
bill
building?
listing, it's,
The trustee account report does
Okay.
not have to be approved,
Right,
it just
we don't have
is,
to do that.
as for informational purposes. The bill listing that the bills the township pays on our behalf, we have to approve.
You like my time?
are there any questions?
I would like to move to approve the bill listing for January.
Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that's approved. Let's move on to the acting director's report. We have,
Thank you.
you know what, I just have to mention, it would be very, very helpful to have the packet information in order and to have it stapled. That's all
Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
like to say.
All right.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry.
In terms of grants and funding, the library will apply for the annual New Jersey State Aid grant for this fiscal year. I developed a committee with the staff members to make sure that we have the right statistical numbers of books, programs, income, and what have you. And we usually receive up to $43,000, a little over per year in that regard. In regard to the library construction grant, I was hoping to make sure that we can focus more on what's needed at North Edison Library. We did a wonderful job in terms of abating some of the issues in the children's room, but I think that we can actually focus on completing the project for the construction grant. I called New Jersey Construction Bond. I called the State Library to figure out, because I had a lot of questions to ask, and I was told that a list of 250 questions and answers will be online this Friday on Valentine's Day. So I'll see if I can take a look at those
Two
particular.
more with that, have you been, started to work yet with the grant writers?
Yeah, we started to work with the grant writers. I started working with Millennium Strategies, and they also informed me, because they've been closely working with the New Jersey State Library in terms of the grant and working with other libraries. And what I've learned, one of the questions I was going to ask is whether or not the library can do an overall project for all three branches. And far as what I understand, for this go-around, we could only work with one particular building in terms of capital improvement and for the construction grant. Thus far.
We can only do one branch, we can't do like one township, meaning we have 3 branches, we can only pick one of the branches?
And that's what I'm trying to clarify at this point now. I called to ask the question, but they told me I have to wait till Friday to get the definitive one.
And in the grant packet that was, I guess you received a grant packet?
Yes, I did.
And it doesn't specify in there?
It's kind of convoluted. That's why I was working with Millennium Strategies in terms of whether or not the library can actually, for example, do an overall project for 88 applicable bathrooms. And I received a phone call back from Millennium Strategies stating that that's something that we can't do in terms of for all 3 branches. We can work on a project for one branch, or one building at a time. So that's what I had gotten back. I mean, I can get further clarification, and based on getting further clarification, I will email the board members and those who needs to be in the know about the response. But thus far, that's what I learned. So in terms of library technology, our website should be up and running no later than mid-March, because we are embarking upon a new website. I also was asked to facilitate a report for a schedule for the public computers, the public access computers. The library is in need of 45 new up-to-date computers. And there's some specs that's been added by our IT person. We're looking to purchase the computers at $950 a piece. with the specs of Intel Core i5 9500, 8 gigabytes, and so on and so forth. So the schedule is as follows. Clara Barton would probably take perhaps 2 weeks because there's only 4 to 8 computers, 4 to 7 computers that needs to be done. The main library is up to 5 computers for the public in North Edison. 5 weeks at 5 weeks at main library, 2 weeks at Clara Barton because of the small amount of computers. In North Edison, be an additional 5 weeks. So the total estimated timeline for the project completion is 12 weeks. Cost of computers are estimated at $43,200 to complete the upgrades of all library computers for the public.
Did you say that we need 47 new computers at Clara Barton?
No, 47 computers in all libraries.
Oh, okay.
Four computers at Clara Barton, 47 total. Also, we have some great, I just want to give a highlight on the program that we've done at the main library on February 4th for Black History Month. We did a great program. It was aired on Channel 12. We had some, up to about 125 people come out for that program. It was well received by the public. People from Metuchen and different Middlesex townships came out to enjoy a great program for the commencement of Black History Month at our library. We have additional programs here. March 18th, we have Edison Page Lovers Book Club. That's going to take place at Main Library. We have the Bookies Book Club, which will take place at Clara Barton. We also have a great opiate awareness program that's going to take place at Main Library on March 23rd from 11 to 12. And then a digital art class that'll be taking place as well. So we're looking to have creative library concepts come to the library. The architect, Henry, and the interior designer will come out to give us plans for capital improvement, drawings for capital improvement, and measurements that's needed for capital improvement projects. Also, when thinking in terms of the capital construction bond grant, I want to make sure that I have the deadlines right. I know that the application opens March 6th. Just want to make sure that we can actually meet it by the closing, April 6th, if I'm not mistaken. I get those specifics by Friday. And they're going to actually help facilitate what's needed in terms of some capital improvement projects and also an overall plan for the entire library in terms of structural needs and what have you. We wanted to do limited services for the senior population until we get the Bookmobile up and running. So we met with Edmonds Senior Center, and they're looking to start scheduling the library in terms of making sure that the senior population can get access to library materials and resources. They figured that Thursdays are great for them in the afternoon because the senior population usually are going to doctors and other things, but they are elated about the idea of having access to library materials at 2 senior centers in Edison. So until we actually get the Bookmobile up and running, I want to bring it before the board in terms of having limited services for the senior population.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll move on to committee reports. And
I actually had a question.
Oh, sorry.
Related to the total circulation of the Edison Public Library, is this just for January, or was this, what duration was this?
That's just look like it's just for, if I'm not mistaken, January.
Wow.
That's just for January, because, and that's a good question. We have, for example, at North Edison Library, we had about maybe 13 to 14,000 patrons come in. At the North Library, at the main library, we had up to like 12,000 people come in. We're working to fix the counter system at Clara Barton, but we are receiving high numbers coming into our library at both at all branches, but specifically more so at Main and North Edison. So those numbers are realistic.
I'm not surprised. And I've been told that the Edison Public Libraries have one of the highest circulations in the state, and 49,000 is a lot. It's just for January. It's impressive.
Yeah, well, I know anytime I'm in any of the libraries, they're busy. They are busy. But thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up. We have the Bookmobile listed, but we are going to report on that under the Facilities Committee because we decided last month that it would be helpful to not only have trustees working with the committees, but to have some staff members working as well. So we're considering the Bookmobile as part of the Facilities Committee. So we'll move on to the Facilities Committee, and you have mentioned some items that we have done, but I am going to ask Robbins to come up and speak about facilities.
Hi. I would like to know if we're going to start with the Bookmobile, if I could have Mary Ellen join me up here. She did do a lot of the research. Is that okay with the board members?
Yes, that's fine.
Because we have done a lot of research for the new Bookmobile in the last, since we met last. And we have found out a lot of information about where we can kind of go with this. We were trying to stay in New Jersey, but unfortunately, there's not a company in New Jersey that's going to be able to help us with the needs that we want to do. So I'm going to let Mary Ellen tell you the information that she found out, and then I'll continue with the Facilities Committee after that.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'll try to see what are we trying to find out. I thought there was over 1 year like that we have a Bookmobile committee, right? Are we? Okay, maybe you can go ahead, because I thought like there was some kind of report by the committee and.
If you would let us give you the information that we have, and then we can answer all the questions at the end of that, if that's okay.
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 Okay. I contacted all of the libraries in New Jersey that have bookmobiles, and I got updates from all of them, the pros and cons on the bookmobiles they have, what they like, what they didn't like, what they had problems with. I also, I had sent Sue a information on the Thomas-built bus. There was a gentleman, Paul, who from Thomas sent me to them, and he was very willing to, out of Thoroughfare, New Jersey, work with us. Unfortunately, when we got down to, okay, this is great, I'll come out and I'll look, and he wanted, like, what do you guys need? Well, as soon as we got to, well, you need a desk, and you need a wheelchair lift, and you need a bathroom, that's not something they can handle. In my research, how it runs is you can buy a vehicle, and they come from one company. You have an interior design, does the inside of the Bookmobile. The places in the United States that do Bookmobiles is Thomas, Farber, Freightliner, International, Summit, Winnebago, and Mercedes-Benz. Winnebago and Mercedes-Benz are very new to the Bookmobile situation and also very expensive, so we didn't even consider them. Of course, we're not going to work with Freightliner and Summit after that disaster. So it left us with Thomas and Farber. I spoke with both of the people. Like I said, they did refer me to Paul. When I spoke with Paul and he couldn't meet our needs, I was like, okay, well, what is your recommendation? He sent me to Matthews.
Are they the ones in the Carolinas?
They're in North Carolina, yes. Thomas-built buses are in North Carolina. They do have, they do build buses, or they do certain things in New Jersey, but they do not customize. That is something you have to get from either Matthews or International or Summit. So the closest is Thomas. It is in North Carolina. It's 8 hours away. They had me reach me out to a gentleman called Scott Sanders. We spoke for about an hour on our needs, the problems we had with Summit, with Freightliner. And he said Matthews was actually, a lot of the libraries did use Matthews as an interior design. Farber also uses Matthews as an interior design. Robbie went back, he pulled the records from our 1989 Thomas-built bus, and Matthews was the one who did the interior design with that. The bus has been fabulous. We, of course, had minor issues with it, but the bus is still running in our lot today. I talked to Mr. Sanders. He said that he recommended the school bus chassis. It's very safe, it's durable, because it hauls school children. So it's very reinforced, and he thinks it would work well for us. He gave me a ballpark figure of about $280,000 for the bus. That included the wheelchair lift, desks, wiring, a bathroom. He also, which I was rather impressed with, he was willing, like Paul was, to come out and meet with us before we did anything else. He would come out, he'd look at our lot, because we do have a problem going in and out of the lot because it pitches so steeply. We ripped off a lot of the stairs. We could never use electronic stairs because they would rub so close, they would rip them off. We also had a bathroom that, because of the tank, also ran low. As you would come into the lot, it would scrape it, especially if there was any snow or ice. Also, the pitch into the garage is steep. So before we would do anything, they were willing to come out and look at our situation, look at the Thomas-built bus we have now. Plus, since they did all the work, they can actually pull all our old records. He also said that he would be able to help us write specs for it. We would not need a consultant. It would save us $10,000. He also said they do have purchasing information for state vehicles. They belong to 2 of them. That being the case, Judy was looking into it, whether we would fall into that category, then you wouldn't even have to send it out to bid. He also said he could help us with changing the stair issue. He would help us with the bathroom tanks. There are now some new designs that we could use, how many chairs we wanted, how we would handle that situation, a chairlift, and the engine. The engine was in our Thomas, was in the back of the bus. If we move it to the front, and the reason we had it in the back was because our Gerstenslager had the engine in the front, and back then they put it in the middle between the, the 2 seats up front, and you got so much heat off of it that we were constantly overheated. So when we got the Thomas-built bus, we put it in the back of the bus. But now, of course, they've become so much better. We actually can put it probably back in the front of the bus and put our wheelchair lift in the back of the bus, which would free up so much room. Same thing, a smaller bathroom, which would also cut some of the issues down. I think Thomas is in High Point, North Carolina. Matthews is Greenboroughs. He recommended, which I agree with, and I think I spoke with Jane Jennings, who was the Bookmobile coordinator in 1989 when we had the last bus built. And her husband drove down to North Carolina midway after it was built, and they did the wiring, and they put in the desks and looked over things. They fixed any problems there were then, in lieu of wait until we get it on our lot and saying, oh my God, this is a problem. And since it is something we could drive to, granted it's not New Jersey, but it would be something we could check up on. Jane said that she loved working with Thomas and Matthews. She said their customer service was fabulous. She said that any issues they had, questions, you could call any time. They also said they would come out and speak with you. Also talk to you, answer any questions you have. After meeting with us and trying to figure out what we could do or what was the best for our needs, come and talk to you and answer any of your questions that you had.
I think it would be really helpful if you have done a tremendous amount of work, and thank you for that in a short period of time. So I really appreciate all of the work that you have done. I think that it would be most helpful, as you said, to reach out to those other libraries in New Jersey who do have existing bookmobiles and really see, how they're used and what we need it for. Do we need it more for delivery? What exactly do we need it for? Is it essential that we have a bookmobile with a bathroom on it? Is it, different things? And I don't want to take your time and take the board's time to, go through it now, and we could certainly continue at another meeting. But I really have to thank you for all of the research that's been done. And also, I understand that you've been talking about starting delivery to the senior centers with a van, with the existing van. So that would be I'm sure they would appreciate that. And we do have some challenges with that because that would be more of a delivery system since we don't have books to keep on the van.
Yeah, we always, even when we had a bookmobile, we always went into the seniors. They didn't come out because they had a hard time on the stairs. So that was fine. And as talking about the other libraries, their biggest thing was anybody who got a small bookmobile was sorry they did. They said they really wish they had gotten bigger. Monroe actually has purchased a second bookmobile because the small one just didn't meet their needs. And Robbie and I were talking about South Brunswick just got one from Summit. We were going to go down there and look at them. As far as, I don't know if their needs are going to be, because every town is totally different, and what they use their bookmobile for may not necessarily be what Edison needs. But, we could definitely find that out for you, what they use theirs for.
Thank you
Okay?
very much.
I comment on this one. Regarding the bookmobile, first thing I want to say is that we were trying to go through that path to replace with a new one, and we already incurred more than 20,000 loss already with purchasing of a new bookmobile. So, the first thing we want to is avoid that kind of mistake. The second thing is I think the library, the bookmobile committee last year was reviewing this one to see whether we have alternate solution. The last time I believe the report was that you're going to buy some new, maybe 2 new vans so that you can make a flexible delivery. Right now, in my opinion, the bookmobile, the previous one we bought was 1989. That's the solution for 30 years situation. That was that time. Now with the technology change, you do have other much better option instead of bring so many books with a truck. You probably have a better solution. For example, if you see that, okay, those seniors, they cannot come to the library, you can have a minivan, bring a computer. They can use a computer to place the order. With the library, you can have many more collections than a bookmobile can carry. Last time that was reviewed last year, the change of the direction, I think, needed to be discussed before you change it.
No, that is a very valid point, and it's something that we have to make sure that we're focusing on the needs for 2020 and not just.
And that's why, and that's why Mary Ellen and the people that are on this committee are doing this. We're doing our homework. I think in a month that we got this, I think we've done a great job. And as far as what David said, I drove the bookmobile. I was on the bookmobile. I know if you look at the circulation that bookmobile did in an hour at a stop, it's amazing. We go to one stop in Edison, you're there for an hour, you're doing 300 to 400 books in 1 hour. That's amazing compared to, yes, the libraries do a great circulation too, but the libraries are open 9:30 in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. The bookmobile goes out to a stop for an hour at a time, and that's the circulation that the bookmobile goes. So that's something I really like the board members to look at, that when we decide what we're going to do here. And with us doing this, we're gonna make sure that we get the bookmobile that we want. We're not going to do with a consulting and I'm sorry, that's what we did. We took the consultant's advice on what to buy, where to go, and this is what we wound up having. We had a lemon. So with the work that we can do, I really feel that we can get what we need. And just like a Thomas, we've had the Thomas bus for 30 years. Would I recommend to go back to a Thomas bus? And Matthew, yes, I would. Why? Because we dealt with them, and we had them for 30 years. I'm hoping, this is serious. I care about this, and that's why I'm up here like this. I care about this, and I want this to happen. This has been a long time going, and we worked hard. We worked hard on getting all this information right now for everybody. And please.
No, it's greatly appreciated. Believe me, it's greatly appreciated.
No, now I'll come down.
Yes.
Okay, I'll come down, and now I'll move on to something else.
My point on that one is before we make a fast switch, we need to carefully evaluate the pros and the cons. Because I believe for this one, there is no further discussion on the board to do this switch. Because the last time what I heard is that we were considering the other option, but right now we're.
Well, actually, David, all options are still on the table.
Yes,
They
yes.
were just doing all the research, finding out about getting the larger bookmobile, as opposed to what we're also looking into, meaning getting 2 of the vans. So all options are still on the table.
The question is that I want to see that kind of comparison before we.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
the
one
van, if we're
decision
talking
is
about the
being
van, now, we're talking a whole different ballgame with the van, because the van is a delivery service to go into senior centers and stuff like that, where with a bookmobile, we go to a stop and patrons come on the bookmobile. So that's a big apples to orange thing there. So we have to decide, I mean,
Okay,
well,
one
I don't
thing-
have to, you guys would have to decide, do you want to go with 2 vans, or do we want to look at a bookmobile?
One of
Sorry.
the things that would help with that decision, I think, you were talking about the circulation
Yeah.
of the bookmobile at a stop for 1 hour.
Yes.
And how much business was conducted. You think you could look into, the past when we had the bookmobile?
Sure.
And see what we had for like the last couple of years that we did have the bookmobile?
Sure.
What kind of circulation did, how many stops, and what the circulation was? It might even be on Judy's old director's
Yeah.
reports.
And I think at one time, Mary Ellen's husband actually did a survey of something with how versus, how much circ the bookmobile did versus how much circ, like the libraries did in the whole time of the scope that they were open versus how much the bookmobile was out on the road. And I hope we could find those numbers, and we will definitely look at that for you, because it's amazing.
Yeah, I think
It really
that would
is.
help,
And
the board to have that information.
I can tell you, after about 14 years on the board, the bookmobile consistently had a higher circulation than Clara Barton, no matter how many hours either one was open.
Yeah, I remember that too.
With less hours on the road than Clara Barton was open, it still consistently had a higher circulation and higher foot traffic. So you're absolutely right. And I think also, considering we do have the facilities committee, we also need to see what the facilities committee will recommend. So I think arguing every little point right now is just wasting our time. I think once we have the facilities committee recommendation and all of the facts in front of us, that will be the time to really hold a debate and see what we want.
Yes, I agree. I don't think we can spend any more time on
Okay.
discussing the bookmobile right at this time. And probably I know a lot has been happening with facilities, and we discussed that with North Edison and Clara Barton. And I don't know whether there's anything more to say. It's wonderful that the windows have been replaced in Clara Barton.
Can I give you a quick update with Clara
Sure.
Barton? Because we're working this worked out very well doing it in piecemeal, instead of having like these big contractors come and give us that humongous, it's working out. Just working on the windows are complete. It rained all this time. We haven't had any leaks up there. It's great. They look fantastic. If you go up, what's the street there? I can't think of it. Pleasant Avenue, as you're going up towards the Clara Barton Library, you look up where the windows are. It looks fantastic up there. I have pictures also. Right now, I'm in the process because of the water damage. I have to have sheetrock replaced. So I just got the quote for that to be done over at Clara Barton. I'm going to move on that. We have some other issues that we're taking care of. We had a sink in the basement, the downstairs break. I'm waiting for the plumber to give me the quote for that. So we're moving along. Everything, I think we're moving along nicely, and it's being done right, and I'm making sure that it gets done right. I'm making sure that we're getting what we paid for from our contractors.
That's excellent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Sorry for getting upset.
Thank you for all your hard work. The next. Yes, thank you for caring. The next is the Policy Committee. There's no policy to present tonight, but I do have to tell you that the staff input on policy update has been phenomenal. And I think next month we probably will have several policies ready to present for approval. And then the next committee report is negotiation.
Okay.
Before you present it, can you send it to all of the board members for review?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. No, they're still in draft now. As soon as we get a more complete draft, they'll all be sent to the board members.
As far as negotiation, we do not have a date yet. I know Timur has reached out to the union's attorney.
Yes.
They're going to send some dates, and hopefully we'll schedule that very quickly.
Yes, will do. So I'll work with the board and get some possible dates, and also the attorney as well, so that we can start negotiation as soon as possible.
Yes, because obviously, we were hoping, at least I was hoping, that they would send a revised contract with what their demands are going to be to us in advance, so that, yourself and myself and Lisa could just meet and go over it, and then inform the board, and then we would meet with them to go over that, instead of just meeting with them, have them hand us a contract, and then we never had a chance to read it. I think that's just, was hoping to avoid that, but it doesn't look like that's.
Thus far, in terms of the non-professional contract, all we received via email communication was the previous contract. There were no terms coupled with the contract in terms of union
I
negotiation.
saw that, and I was wondering about that, but I guess they just want to give it to us in person, bringing everybody into what's going to be a bit of a waste of time, because we can't decide anything without knowing what they want. But I'm not sure that's even going to be able to happen at this point. Let's just try to get a date and get it going then.
Will do.
Right.
Yes, madam.
Right,
Yeah.
yes, that makes sense, that makes sense. We're going to skip over new business and just go to unfinished business first. We have the attorney fees, and I think it's really the approval of the attorney that we discussed last month.
And I think it was also his fee, when he had
Yes.
reduced it down to the $200 an hour that he had the last time, which is about what we paid the previous attorney. So I
Yes,
think we just need
because
to
the last
approve all
time, I
that.
think we just need to approve that, because
Yes.
last month we just did
An
a
emergency
certain,
cap,
not to
yeah.
exceed,
How much is the fee now?
$200.
Okay. Then why last meeting, everyone is arguing that 250 is a reasonable amount? I believe like last time when we know that the city council BOE, they had a lower fee than us. I mean, this is reasonable that we needed to at least match whatever the city council and BOE is doing. Like, that's the thing we need to
We've done research
improve.
we've
Yeah.
done research on the attorney fees for libraries, and $200 is a reasonable amount. $200 was what was charged in the past, so
I mean,
I don't think we
Well,
have
we
any.
also, I'd also like to.
I'm not saying
Excuse
that
me,
one.
I'm
saying
speaking.
Whatever.
Excuse me, thank you. I would also like to state that Timur did send me a comparison. I'm surprised, I thought you were going to put it in the packet, of what we were paying the last year's lawyer versus what we'll be paying Mr. Brady. And it's a difference of $5. We were consistently paying the other lawyer $195. Mr. Brady charges $200. So it's a matter of $5 an hour.
Thank you.
Should I make a motion?
Please.
I'd like to make a motion that we hire Dominic Brady as the Edison Library Board's attorney at the rate of $200 per hour
I would
for
like to
the year of
second that.
2020.
Sorry, I would like to second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's the point. I mean, we need to, instead of last meeting, we're arguing against like Shannon, who knows this information. Now we can get like from 250 to 200, right?
Well, he corrected
Well, he
himself
corrected
last meeting also, because he had just the wrong number, and then he checked with his office and said it was 200. He just,
Okay, I
it
mean,
was just a...
that's my point, is that, you know, when we raise the
Mistakes
concern,
happen.
we're getting better for the library board. Okay, let's move ahead.
All right, the next item is the contract for the accounting firm. There was a discussion last month about the accounting firm, and it was confirmed that that particular company does do work with many public libraries in New Jersey. So I would like a motion to approve that.
What was the name? Cooley? Remember the
We don't
name?
have that, do we? Who remembers the name of
Do we
the...
have the contract or we don't have the contract?
I'm sorry, weren't we supposed to have a comparison of the previous accountant to?
We do have it, just, I'm working on getting it to you right now.
Okay.
The name of the company was Suppley, Clooney and Company, certified public accountants.
Do we have any form in the,
It was in the last month's packet.
I know a lot of other libraries do use them.
Do we have a motion to approve a contract with Suppley, Clooney and Company?
I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
yes?
Aye.
Opposed?
We
All
found it.
right, so that is a unanimous vote. The other item that we had to take care of was the change in, for the April meeting date, because we had originally scheduled it for April 14th, which is during Passover,
Oh, on,
so they wanted to, so I think.
Yeah,
you
they
wanna
gave us
change the
like
date.
4 dates. I know 2 of the dates had us in the Edison room
Okay.
upstairs, and the other 2 dates
Had
could
us
be
here.
here.
Right.
I believe for purposes of recording, it's much easier for them
have it
to
here.
have it here.
Okay,
Yes.
So I would recommend that we pick one of those 2 dates if everyone...
I will say, just for the record, in case we do want to keep it, that on the 14th, that is not a holy day.
It is.
It's
It
it's
is.
one of the
It's
whole.
last two.
is it?
No.
First two and the last two.
No, the last 2 days are the 15th. Oh, I guess, because the night before, you're right.
Do we know
Oh,
which
I forget,
day
I always
that
forget that it starts the night before.
there was a spring break for the school? Is that the week for the spring break or?
I don't
Is
know
that the
about
week for
spring
the spring
break.
break?
I don't
Let
know
me
about
check.
spring break. My kids are grown.
Right. Right, I did not check that.
But anyway, I believe the dates that you said, one was on the
Let me
2nd, and one was, I think,
Right,
around the
correct.
20th,
The 23rd.
23rd.
2nd, 6th, 20th, or 23rd were the 4
And the
dates.
2nd and 23rd we could have here, so I would recommend that we pick one of those dates.
14 is a holiday
And I
anyway.
don't know if we want to have everything ready to have it so early in the month, or if you want to do it on the 23rd.
I think the 23rd.
The
Okay,
23rd?
23rd
I really
is
do.
fine for me.
The
Thursday,
April
right?
23rd?
Is that, it's Thursday, April 23rd?
Okay.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to approve the change in the meeting date for April from the 14th to the 23rd. It'll be here in the Edison Council Chambers, and a notice will be sent to the newspapers
Yes, ma'am.
regarding that. Okay, thank you.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor? Excellent. So the April meeting will be on April 23rd,
Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay.
Okay. Now we can move to new business. One of the items that we did not take care of last time was NJ, the trustee
That's what I wanted to bring that up, because I know that there's a resolution in place whereby dues for memberships won't be paid, but the problem that we have is it's so hard to get the money together for the board members all at one time. We was hoping to pay for all the board members in terms of membership for the trustees or what have you,
Out of the library account.
as a library all at one time.
I do know that other public libraries do that, where
Yeah.
they will pay for
Yeah,
the-
I can explain that one. Several years ago, when all of when all the cuts were happening, and we stopped being given the money above and beyond the 1/3 of a mil, and we were talking about having furlough days, the board members agreed to pitch in our own money for the dues. That's where that came from, because we didn't want, not that it would make such a dent, but it was literally the least we could do.
Okay,
So
well, now that-
if we
now
can,
that- but now that things
we now
are-
have money, we can, there's no reason we can't reverse that, but that's where that came from.
It would make
It's much easier,
and
too.
trying
It
to
would
make
make
it much
Yeah.
easier.
You're much
for-
easier.
For you.
For your
That's true.
accounting purposes.
Is
Yeah.
that
Yes.
the $20 we paid last year we're
$20.
Yes.
talking?
Yes,
Yeah.
we've been paying $20 per year to
I
the
think
members.
it's make more sense for the library to, I mean, it's not a lot of money.
No, I think the
Instead of
library
like,
should.
like last year, I paid for several people from my own pocket because, I just collected
Right.
the money.
And
So
it's important
not
that
a-
we all
yeah.
are members. So David,
Yeah.
would you like to make a motion to?
Okay, motion to, this one. For the library to pay for the board members due,
The trustee dues.
trustee due, yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. So that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Plus, I mean, we're all doing volunteer work, I mean.
Right. The other thing that I think we need to address is, we had mentioned back in December that we were going to search for a new director, and we are very fortunate to have Timur Davis as our acting director, but I think we have to do our due diligence and at least create a committee to explore who we can use as a consultant and how we want to go about doing this. So I don't know whether we want to, we only have 5 of us here. I don't know whether we want to, if any of you are interested in serving on that board.
I
let
would be
me know.
interested.
Okay,
I'll join that.
okay.
And you too, of course, Pat.
To clarify, you just mentioned as consultant or what?
Yeah, I think it's very important. The last time we did a search, it worked very quickly, and I think it would be important to have guidance from somebody who has been involved in search for public library directors in New Jersey, and many other public libraries. In fact, most public libraries who are searching for a library director do reach out to a consultant. And we've mentioned the names of the consultants that are available. There's at least 2 or 3, if not more, available in New Jersey. And we could reach out and find out what their fees.
I mean, can you
Might be.
explain the process? Because I'm not really getting into it. We're finding a consultant to find the library director, or?
No, we're finding a consultant to help us, to guide us in terms of finding a library director. One of the things that would be done would be a review of the board, of the description, the job description for the library director. The
Okay.
next thing would be that the applications for any of the, for the position would be sent to wherever this person or company would be. That person or company would review the applicants that come in, the applications that come in, and then present our committee with a number of applications to, of people that we can interview. So it just sort of streamlines the process.
I mean, in that case, I mean, we're having 2 steps, right? You have consultant, and you have a committee, and then you have finally you have the board to
To approve
to
one.
To
decide.
approve it, yes,
I mean,
yes.
so the question is that for the board member, like, who is not on the committee, I mean, how can they get more information?
This is where it becomes interesting. What should happen is the committee interviews the candidates for the position.
Like last time?
Like last time, like last time. Then they present 2 or 3 names of candidates to the board for the board to interview those candidates as a whole. And then the board makes the decision to select the candidate.
Can we relax it a little bit? I mean, do you think the committee will have the chance to interview more, I mean, the larger pool of candidates?
Well, just as we interviewed a larger pool of candidates the last time, so we will interview.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, we'll interview the candidates.
Say, for example, consultant give you 10 candidates, right?
Right. It may
And-
not even be 10, but yes, the consultant gives you X number of candidates,
Okay,
right?
and then you have committee to have the chance to interview 10? And
Or
the
as many
committee-
as you want.
Right, you can interview
can
as many
decide.
as you want to interview, yes.
Okay, and then you have this
And then you
You
select
decide
like
this-
2 or 3 finalists
for the board
to present to the board.
Okay, to interview or something like that.
Yes.
So in this case, what's the function of the consultant? I mean, you have the committee that,
Well, because the consultant is going to, the consultant is going to provide guidance and is also going to be another place where we send, the applications will go to that consultant. The applications will be mailed to the consultant, and the consultant will review the applications that come in. Because there
so
are
the question
times,
is that, okay, if we have 100 applications to the consultant, will they pass the information to the committee?
yes, they'll pass on the information to the committee, but they will also review those applications for, for any applicants. There are many times that people will apply to jobs that, that they don't have the qualifications to fill the job.
So this is the question, who is going to, I mean, we're asking consultant to determine this one instead of the committee, right? Because I do believe the idea of having the, finally to have the board to interview several candidates will increase the chance for every board members to know,
Right.
to have more information. But I just don't feel that what's the role of the consultant here if we have the committee.
Well, if we have the committee in place and we're talking about this right now, then we can discuss it further as a committee. We can do that.
Yeah, because I'm okay with this, the next 2 steps, but have the additional consultant.
Well, I think the
If I could
consultant, as Pat
just-
said, the
Which I-
consultant would also help with streamlining the job description to best meet the needs of Edison.
If I could just intervene, it's a very common practice anytime there's a director or in any form of government, the Board of Education, the library, or any director that we need in town hall, it's a very common practice to have a firm come in and provide guidance for help procuring directors to fill these positions. It happens regularly. The equivalent in the private sector or for the common person to be able to understand would be, it's no different from a staffing agency. It's a group that specifically goes out and says, here are some candidates that you can look at. It's a very common practice, and everything that was just stated, that whole process, the committee, the appointments, everything that you just stated is actually written in the state library manual on how to go about forming the committee, how to appoint. This is a very out-of-the-box scenario. This is not anything new.
No, thank you, thank you. All right.
I mean, the other thing I want to probably add, and maybe it's good for other members, is that I would suggest that, the committee will do the interview, but it will ideally, it can announce to other board members so that when they have time, I mean, if they want, they have the option to join, which will increase the transparency.
Well, that's,
That never happened the last time.
first of all, that's
that-
why the final three will be interviewed by the
board.
board as a whole. And honestly, if the board is unsatisfied, we can go back to the drawing board and pull some more candidates. You don't have to choose only the three that
No,
the committee
I'm not
presents.
saying you have to ask other people, but for example, say, if I'm on the committee and you want to just join, I mean, if you have the option, I mean, that's your choice, right? I'm not saying we're
Well,
forcing
actually, no,
way.
you can't. You can't have more than
can't.
3 of us on the board, on the committee. That would actually be illegal. That would be breaking sunshine laws. You can't have more than the 3 for the committee.
Right, you can't have a quorum. A quorum is 5, so you couldn't have more than 4 on a committee. Because then you would have to, it would be an open public meetings.
That's not a meeting, right? That's
You can't have a quorum for a committee. You can't.
Because it's
So we
considered a
have-
meeting.
okay. Maybe.
Okay? All right, so I think we should probably vote on forming this committee. Do we have a motion to form a search committee for a director?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right, so that passed. Do we have any other new business? Is there any other?
Oh, actually, I'm not sure if this is considered new business, but I'd like to circle back to more Mr. Davis was talking about buying computers. If you do wish to buy computers, we need to vote on that. You can't just go out and buy them. So,
Sorry. I was presenting a plan because I know
Oh.
that,
Making sure I'm understanding that, okay, so.
yeah. So I was just presenting a prospective schedule. It wasn't in concrete. I just wanted to let the board know what I was engineering upon. And we didn't purchase any computers as of yet.
Okay, so.
Anyway, I don't think we
so-
can vote today. We don't have any material related, so, I mean, we need to have that information to be able to vote.
Okay, can I finish my sentence now, please? So that means that if you do wish to purchase these computers, you will present us with the specs and with the write-up, correct?
Yeah, I think the specs
Okay.
is on the one page. I presented the specs as well for the computers.
Oh, no, but I mean, and the price, because I know when you were.
Yeah,
giving
yeah,
us the
definitely. I
email,
give
so
you-
that we have the breakdown, exactly how much it will cost.
Definitely, I'll make sure I take care of that.
Okay.
All right, and then I email it to the board before the next board meeting so that you can make your decision in terms of voting.
All right. So no more new business? No, okay. I'd like to, do we have a public comment?
Hi, Carolyn Cullum, head children's librarian, if you don't know me. Just 2 quick things I wanted to let you know. I wasn't going to mention this, but back to the Bookmobile, a lot of the talk about the 2 vans and everything. You have to remember, and technology, when these Bookmobile goes out to all these children, we have to take a lot of books out there for them to choose from, and all of those kind. With seniors, you can take a small selection out, or you select for them. I know one board member at one time mentioned, well, they could put holds on and we can bring the holds. The kids don't always know what they want. We take them out and present it to them and say, look what we have, look what we're showing you. So this is why you need that big bookmobile to take a lot of stuff out. And I know we've been working on this with the committee for we're about 10 months now or so. So, you know, I'm very happy that she's presented a lot to you to think about and everything, and that's great. That's put aside. We are preparing for the summer. The children's librarians have started in January preparing for the summer, and we've gotten a lot done. We're looking at performers now, too. I just wanted to put a word out for the public, too, is that we are going out to the different businesses in the community looking for donations, for prizes, for gift cards and things like that, maybe. So far, I bought a lot of gift prizes from out of Barnes and Noble from the 1,300 that we got from the gift card they gave us for doing fundraising. So a lot of that's going towards summer prizes and stuff. Home Depot has come out and given me a $50 gift card to buy stuff. Plus, they're going to give us like those little aprons and things and stuff for the kids. We just got Somerset Patriot tickets out there, and Stelton Bowling Lanes just gave us tickets for the kids to have parties and things like this. So far, those are the companies that got. I've been to 6 or 7 other big stores in the area, and I won't say their names, and the answer is sorry. If we give it to one, we have too many people come to us. So a lot of people say, go to the big companies, they'll do it. They just say, well, there's too many people asking us, and they won't. So I'm putting a challenge out to anybody who has businesses in the community who would like to donate something towards the children's, because we are going to list the companies who are supporting the children this summer and everything. And there's a couple around the Claire Barton area we haven't got to that helped us last year. Is please contact me at North Edison Library and let me know you want to be part of supporting the children this summer, or the adults. I don't want to leave the adults out, because we're trying to go for events. Like you said, the Patriots, tickets to this, bowling lanes, and stuff like that, something different for the children. And so that's what I wanted to say, and hopefully I'll hear from some people.
I hope
Okay?
so.
I hope so. Thank you.
Good evening. Keith McCoy, 14 2nd Street, Edison. Tonight seemed to be a productive meeting. Congratulations. I just wanted to comment on your decision to hire a consultant. I think that's a very good idea. I hope you can hire somebody good. The point of hiring a consultant is that while the board knows Edison, a consultant will know the library field, and he or she can help you develop a job description which will have contemporary terminology, so that you're not asking for somebody who can type 50 words a minute. Help you select a salary that is competitive, and so you can attract good candidates. It'll help you develop consistency so that a couple people see this candidate and a couple people see that candidate, but you're not all asking the same questions. That's going to be very important if you want to do a complete comparison of all of your candidates. How you set it up is up to you, whether the committee that works with the consultant whittles it down to 3 candidates, 5 candidates, 1 candidate. I've been in the objective search committees where they just presented 1 candidate to the board to interview, and then if that one was either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But I think it's very important that you hire somebody who knows the library field and works with you closely, because this is a $6 million operation. This is one of the largest libraries in the state. The citizens of Edison deserve an excellent library director to move the system forward. And this is your opportunity to pick that person.
Thank you.
To clarify on that one, my comment on that is consultant subcommittee and then the whole board. My original point was that we are having too many layers. Second thing is I want to clarify, you mentioned that the committee will present only 1 candidate for the board to vote, either yes or no. I believe.
Could.
Yeah, the chair just said that we're going to present several.
Thank you. But do we have is there anything for a closed session?
Yes, just briefly though, it's nothing major.
All right, fine. All right, so do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we'll
Go in the back for a
go
couple
into the
minutes.
back for the closed session.
Keith, are you bringing Esther an agenda?
next time? I mean,
No, we'll do that now.
You gotta do that right now.
You can stay for 2 minutes.
You got 2 minutes,
2
David.
minutes.
It's just 2 minutes. We have to go, we haven't even adjourned the meeting. The meeting is not
We haven't
adjourned
even
yet.
adjourned the meeting.
The meeting is not adjourned. We have to do that in open session.
David, this is not the way to behave as a trustee. This is
I'm
not the
saying
way.
that we prefer to do it like, next time when we have like more board members to do that.
It is not necessary to wait.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to wait, right?
Yes, it does.
Why?
have waited, we've waited since December.
Yes.
Why do you, I mean, you have.
It's an
done that
unfilled-
in
it's an
December, right?
unfilled
But you
position.
haven't done this one like, why didn't you do this one in December together?
David, the
The
meeting
biggest,
hasn't been adjourned
the
yet.
meeting has not been adjourned. This is not the appropriate conduct for a library trustee. This is not appropriate. You don't just walk out when you don't like what is being said or you don't agree. This is not appropriate.
And if we vote on it and you want to vote no, you can vote no.
That's what we can do next time, right?
The
There
meeting
is-
is still not adjourned.
We're still in a meeting. We're still in a meeting,
The
David,
appropriate thing to do would be,
Anyway.
to vote.
Mr. Yee, the appropriate thing to do would be to state your opinion instead of walking out of the meeting. All right,
Is,
This is ridiculous.
this is ridiculous.
so
All right, well,
well,
I'd like to make a motion that we go back into public session.
Second.
And we
Yeah.
literally cannot continue with our meeting because one of our trustees, David Yee, has decided to leave because he does not want to vote on the matter that was going to be brought up. And this is very distressing. This is very distressing. I would like to remind everybody that as trustees, we should follow a certain code of conduct, and this is very disappointing.
I would recommend this is, to the camera, this is being recorded. This is an open public meeting. By law, any time that a meeting is in session, which it is currently, we have to continue it. And what just happened right now was we held our public meeting, we went into closed session, we came back out of the meeting just moments ago, and a member, David E., has just walked out of the meeting, which abandons our quorum. So I just want to state this for the record, that we now have to abandon this meeting due to this second walkout.
Yes.
So I'd
Yes.
motion to adjourn.
Second? All right, then the meeting is adjourned.
No, just this part of it.
Is there any procedure for removing board members?
This is ridiculous. This is like, what, the third or fourth time that he's actually done that?
Yes.
Along with his other
Yeah,
ones?
this was beyond the second time.